shot up through this week too.
Yeah, we might have to get uncomfortably close, dude.
That's cool, man. I love it, bro.
Is that Kyle's in?
Yeah.
Let's do a test.
55, 75, 55,
low,
5,
low.
and then I'm right at 55.
Let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You good with my stuff in there?
What's up? Oh, it's fine. Okay. I can adjust that later. And it usually takes a couple minutes for folks to jump on. And we'll wait because sometimes I'll go live.
And you can
testing
the questions.
Barely.
Respect, man.
Matt Mesker, dude, he's watching live. You better be somewhere fishing, dude. Yeah, I mean barely. That's the 2020 iVenue deal right there.
You're gonna have to read it for me. I gotta go to 2020. I gotta meet up with Matt soon.
Let's see. You know what? Let's scoot it just a little bit closer. Tell me when you think I'm gonna be out of view, because I want you to be able to read it.
Nah, that's
Matt Neverman says, Duonger.
What's up? What's up, man?
All right, guys, it's going to take a couple minutes to get started. This is episode 16. All we're going to talk about is kayak fishing. But along with kayak fishing, we're going to talk presentations and stuff that people can use anywhere they're fishing. And we got Jason Duong, native pro staff, Northern Fish Media kayak team. What other companies are you pro staff for?
I'm with Railblazer and Yak Gear.
Awesome, awesome. And how long have you been with Yak Gear?
Well, I actually just joined Yak Gear and Railblazer about 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
But they also do like the C-Tug carts, you know, they do all the mounts, they do a lot of good stuff, and coming out some stuff too. They got the powered mounts, those are really cool.
Nice, I'll have to check them out.
USB right to it.
I need to do something, because I want to straight wire my GoPro.
Yep, they got the mount that'll do it.
Nice. I'm going to have to look into that. So, what we got? Catch it. Cabela's has PFDs for $10 right now. Awesome, Matt. And we're going to get started, guys, in just a couple minutes. I usually wait a little bit to let people join in. And we've got some deals to talk about at Cabela's now. And magic has happened right here. Okay. You see that? That's too cool. They're going to, and on Saturdays, what they're going to do is out at the checkout line, these go in every bag.
Wow.
So LFK's hitting the big time. You know?
That's a great picture of you guys.
Yeah, I grew my hair out a little bit for that one. But we got you know what, I got to quit talking about what we're going to talk about in the show. Boardfish cupcake. Oh, Matt doesn't know he's logged in under Boardfish Media and he's talking on it. All right, here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFK podcast. I'm your host, Eric Ali. We're joined this week with Jason Duong, and we're going to talk kayak fishing all show long. We're going to talk kayak fishing, and we're just going to kind of wing it. You know what I mean? We got so many exciting things going on in the kayak fishing world. First things first, Pueblo tournament coming up. Multi-species Saturday, bass only event on Sunday. What do you think it's going to take to win the bass event and also the multi-species event? If you had to guess.
You know, step one in Colorado is always a full bag. So putting 5 in the boat, 5 on the board. And then, you know, with the bass tournament, we're going to catch a lot of bass that day. It's going to be a lot like Chatty, where I think 11 anglers caught 108 bass.
Oh, wow.
So it's big numbers, but then it's getting those kicker fish, you know, those 16s, 17s. Everybody knows Pueblo has a ton of fish.
Yeah.
But, you know, to catch a 16, 17 plus type of bass there, you know, they don't come by very easy.
So let's talk strategy, and then we'll get into the multi-species one a little bit. Now, are you guys going to, and when I say you guys, the majority of the top 5, the guys that always finish at the top, I'd like to think that your strategy is somewhat similar as you want to get your 5, and then you want to start upgrading. Do you start finesse and then get bigger? Or how do you go about it?
It really depends. You know, a place like Pueblo, I haven't fished it this year at all. So I'm going to probably start with the crankbait. I'm going to cover water, you know, early in the morning and try to see if I can get some fish to the boat. And then after that, when the sun gets a little bit higher, gets a little bit warmer, I'll probably switch to like a shaky head or you know, drop shot and Ned rig, something finesse to try to.
Because it's going to get hot. It's projected to be over 100 degrees.
It's going to be a warm one.
Let's go through a typical takeoff. You know, the check-in process starts in the dark. How quick are you on the water? Is it still going to be low light? Are you guys going to be able to throw top water at all? Is anybody thinking about throwing top water?
I know Jimmy Blanco talked about him trying to get 5 in the boat with top water. So it's going to depend because, you know, it is a portage event, so we can For the guys that want to launch from the South Marina, you can launch right there, and you probably launch when it's dark, or at least low light still. But then, for me, or for a lot of guys that are planning to portage, you might get on the water right when the sun's starting to come up. So it kind of depends a little bit on your strategy there. That strategy of portaging, it's either sacrifice time to fish the water you want, or get on the water as soon as you can. So there's always that kind of, back and forth on it, which one's better.
And I love that because the sport of kayak fishing in Colorado has grown exponentially in the past year to the point to where it is strategy. We got a bunch of really, really good sticks. But if you don't fish clean and your strategy's not, I don't want to say flawless because it doesn't have to be flawless, but
Never is.
It is strategy. And a lot of the stuff that we've done in the past with hashtag contests and stuff like that, that also brings strategy into play because you can go catch a bluegill and hashtag whatever contest we have, but you're going to take away from your overall bag because a bluegill might not be in the species list. But in kayak fishing in general, I don't know anybody that's listening to this, if you don't subscribe on iTunes or through Bass University to Ike Live, wholeheartedly suggest you do it. It's just such a great podcast. And on Saturday he did the kayak. He talked about Hobie. He had Chad Hoover on. Just a really, really cool show. And Chad Hoover said he projects the KBF tournament, the big one again this year, the first place payout to be over $50,000. He thinks in the next 2 or 3 years that anglers are going to be making their living kayak fishing.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's, I think when it first started, I don't think people were thinking, move the box. Okay. Thanks, G. And we're going to talk about your guys, Humminbird guys. This is a great unit. We'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Sorry, G, I'm short.
There we go. But when it first started here locally, I don't think a lot of folks realized how quickly it was sweeping across the country. And Chad Hoover was saying that he's in talks with FLW. He's in talks with BASS. He said he might be a little bit soon on it. But I do think 2 or 3 years we're going to have guys making money kayak fishing, and at least a handful are going to be representing Colorado. I wholeheartedly believe that. We've got, bass fishing in Colorado. It's good, but you have to work for it. So it's
Makes you a better angler, really.
Oh, for sure. Well, let's talk about some of the stuff that you do because we're buddies. We on a couple different messages. You can throw the Ned rig, and then you can throw a swim bait within 10 minutes of each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then a lot of guys in Colorado, we also have fly fishing experience. Is that going to help in the tournament world? I don't know, but I think the more kind of expanded you are, the more things that you can put in play. And you said that. How is fly fishing going to help in a bass tournament? I don't know, but you never know. The Colorado anglers are so well-rounded. Do you think that that's a possibility in the next couple of years for professional kayak anglers making all their money just fishing?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think Eric and I were talking a couple months ago that, within the next 5 years, I really thought FLW at BASS was going to step in and start a kayak series. Just because it makes sense because, for anglers like me that can't go out there and buy a $60,000 boat and, go out there flying down the lakes in a glitter boat, I can afford a top-end kayak and get on the water and fish competitively out there. So there's that huge growth. And I mean, if you look at it like our CKFC group, 5-6 years ago we had 13 people in the group, I think 15 people, something really small group, and today I think we broke 800.
Oh, wow.
So the growth of it is insane, and that's just in Colorado. I know I got buddies out in Kansas and Idaho, and it's just blowing up out there too. So I think there's the need for it, the desire for it. And there's some other groups that are really going to make it grow.
Well, and that's the thing is, I got to read what G just wrote because G always comes with the good information. Let's see. Let's go. So G talking with BASS, they talked about it. And it's one of those things to where here shortly, we got it to ourselves right now. And there's 2 things I want to talk about with kayak fishing and how the boom is going to continue to expand. You're going to have guys that might not be able to make it. No worries, dude. That might not be able to make it in the big boat world. They're going to start buying kayaks. They're going to leave their big boats alone, and they're going to start competing. And
I know there's 3 BASS guys that are sponsored or associated. You got Ike with Hobie. There's who's with Jackson. I can't remember it, but it was on Facebook that he was out there fishing out of it. So it's starting to grow.
Well, and they did a deal about that during one of the tournaments. They talked, and it wasn't about Ike. It was about the other guy that's with Jackson. They talked about it. It's just one of those things that when you talk bass boats, when you talk anything where the dollar amount is limiting, there's certain people that you won't turn them on. Okay, kayak fishing is so accessible. We fish out of top of the line boats.
Sure.
But you don't need a top of the line boat to compete. You can look on Craigslist. You can spend 150, 200 bucks, maybe up to $400 or $500, and you can compete.
Yeah,
and in Colorado, you can compete in a float tube. What else? A float tube, pontoon.
Float tube, pontoon, belly boat. Really anything that's personally propelled. You can go out there in a canoe as long as you're using a paddle.
Yeah.
Basically, as long as it doesn't have a motor on it, you're eligible for the CKFC tournaments.
So guys, if you got it, like we said, it's not just kayak fishing here in Colorado. If you want to compete nationally, you want to kayak. You know, a lot of other governing tournaments are not going to let you fish and stuff like that. And then the other thing about kayak fishing, if you guys aren't a member of the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club, I wholeheartedly suggest that you join on Facebook and you come attend our events. You know, in social media right now, there's so many dividing lines when it comes to fishing. You keep fish, I don't keep fish. You use this, I use that. There's all these different dividing lines. Well, when it comes to the Colorado Kayak Fishing Club, it's not like that. Everybody helps everybody. It's really, really cool that the community in Colorado, kayak fishing community, not just tournaments, but just the community is so welcoming. So, guys, if you're watching this and let's say that you're new to fishing, you're learning your first knot, you're catching your first fish, come join us. You know, come join a tournament, come to one of the outings. We're going to do more outings,
Yep.
I think, here soon. And you'll be surprised how welcoming it is compared to what social media portrays the fishing world to be.
Yeah,
You know
sure.
what I mean? Another thing I want to talk about is I'm a Hobie guy. Everybody knows I'm a Hobie guy. But back to that kayak fishing vibe in Colorado, I want people to get the best boat for them personally. And it's not always a Hobie. Let's talk a little bit about the kayak you fish out of, the Native. Give us the breakdown on the Native.
You know, so I fish out of the Native Slayer 13 Propel. I fished out of it for the last year and a half. Before that, I had the Native Propel Mariner. And both are great kayaks. I mean, the big difference, you know, when you look at the Propel drivers, like the Hobie Mirage Drive, is, you know, the Mirage Drive, you can go in a little shallower water than I can with my Propel. But my Propel, I can go reverse. So you get, you know, benefits for, here in Colorado, we always get a breeze. So I can put the breeze to my back and kind of pedal back slowly to keep me off a bank. I can stop a lot faster. I don't drift as much. So, you know, over the weekend I was drop shotting over at Quincy, and you know, I was using my electronics. I was playing video games with the fish, and you know, when I was looking at them and I'm moving, I can stop right there and drop it right on their heads.
So you can stop on the fly. You can stay on a spot without having to worry. I'm sure you still anchor once in a while, but because one of the things with Hobie, I'm just going to be honest. Like I said, guys, I love my Hobie. I'm not going to fish out of anything but a Hobie for any time soon because I love it so much. But I do envy reverse. I do envy being able to stop on a dime, because what I do is I'll rock into a spot, and then I have to, you know, Matt's going to give me a hard time because Matt's such an advanced kayaker.
I saw some photos this week. I was pretty impressed.
Well, and the thing is the Hobie does have stability, but so does the Native, because as soon as that video came out, miraculously Native came out with a picture of a guy standing on the...
I saw it on the Pro Staff page, and I know it's been circling a little bit.
But
I couldn't do that.
But can you stand up and fish?
Yeah, absolutely. You can stand up and fish. You can put your whole weight to the side. I think you know, we were talking on one of the messages that we're on that you know, how easy is to flip a kayak. It's, you know, if you're in one of the high-end kayaks or just a fishing kayak in general, if it's, you know, built by Jackson, Predators from who's it, the Old Town. You know, a bunch of different companies out there, Lures, Mokins. You know, if it's built for kayak fishing and standing, it's going to be pretty stable. Most people fall because of bad body position. You know, you don't trust the kayak stability, so when it does move a little bit, you overcorrect, and all of a sudden you lose your balance, you fall out, or it's bad decisions. I flipped my kayak. I think most of the guys in the club saw me or heard me, and I had a couple guys with me that I flipped out at Fork. But it was a bad decision on my behalf in really bad conditions. We had some, you know, 4-foot rollers, and I took an angle wrong and it flipped me. But you know, for the most part, they're really, really stable. You can stand up, you can fish, you can cast, really comfortable.
Let's talk about that, because Matt, Neverman, and myself, we're pushing the limits on the Hobies.
I saw two of you guys standing.
Yeah, and guys, if you see my videos on Facebook, I'm not telling you to get your buddy and go fly fish off of a PA-14. We're just using it, you know, one of the hashtag "Don't try this at home" type deal. But I think one of the first things, and it's not talked about a lot, one of the first things you need to do when you get your kayak put your PFD on. Don't load any gear on it or anything like that. Go out there and flip it. You know, find how far you can push the limits, and then make sure you can successfully get back into the boat. Because one of the things that we found out, and I did it in my Ascend, I found out how hard it was to get back into it. You know, and the first time you get back into a kayak, it's tough because you don't know what the heck you're doing.
Right, especially if it's bad conditions, like wind and waves.
Well, so, and like I said, guys, I really think that if you get a kayak, you have to know the limits. You know, be smart. I'm not saying go to Spinny and do handstands, Angela, just messing with you. But, you know, pick conditions that are good. You know, if you can do it at Union's great for that. Because Union's got that beach, the water's warm right now. But you flipped at Lake Fork. How did you get back in? And when you first flipped, I'm sure panic set in. You know, how did you handle that and manage that?
You know, so when I first flipped, I was with a good group of people. I was with Dave Kuzer, Johnny Waginka, Jeff Rising, a handful of anglers, Jim Needler. So that, they came to my rescue. They were grabbing my gear because my gear was floating, and I was having a yard sale in the middle of the lake. So they grabbed as much of my stuff as I could. And then, honestly, I actually wasn't able to get back in because the waves were taking my kayak to shore, but my legs were laying underneath my kayak. And I was only 50 feet from shore, so I knew it was going to take me in there. I did have an inflatable on. Here's a good tip for you guys. Make sure it's tight, because I wore mine kind of loose, and when it exploded, I mean, it literally pushed, it was on my ears. So keep it tight on you so that it kind of keeps you up.
I've got a question for you. So, like I said, Matt and I are pushing the limits of all the hoodies. He was wearing an inflatable, and when you're pushing the limits, you're going to end up taking a swim.
Sure.
And his inflatable was choking him. Do you think it's worth a recharge kit to when you get that inflatable, you pop it, you see what it's going to be like in a situation where you're going to need it, to where, Matt's a calm and collected dude, but for a minute there, I thought he was going to scream, "I need a knife." You know what I mean? So do you think it's worth, what's a recharge kit, $20?
Yeah, 20, 25 bucks.
Do you think it's worth $20 to have that security when you're on the water of knowing, okay, if I do flip, conditions are awful, I'm going to stay afloat? Or, if you don't know and you've never had one of the inflatables or anything, you could be choking yourself, so that could add panic to panic, and most poor decisions are made when you're panicking.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I didn't do it myself, but I think it's definitely worth the $20, 25 bucks. And what is that? A couple suns that we're talking about, rising suns, to help you kind of feel more comfortable. But my big thing with kayak fishing or fishing in general is to know my gear, know limits, know how it works, know how to fix it. Especially in a kayak, if you break something, you can pull over on the bank, you can fix it.
Yeah.
So just being able to know that stuff. But the same thing goes with the PFD, because one thing I wish I knew before is to keep it a little tighter, because if I kept it much looser, I mean, I might have not had my head out of the water, really.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, I wear it a little bit tighter now, so that if it does explode, it's where it should be, or it's not much far from.
Well, and that's the thing, guys. I know a lot of guys that are new to kayak fishing, and one of the things about kayak fishing, it's going to bring a lot of anglers into fishing, period. A lot of us, when you start, you think, okay, the water's going to be 75 degrees. I don't need a PFD. Wear them at all times. Just don't even think about it. Get one that's more comfortable for you, but make sure you're always wearing it. Because let's go back to Lake Fork. If you fell, if you tipped your kayak and that PFD is under your seat, could you have got it?
No, not in time. It would have floated away or exploded, and I would have watched it. There's no way I could have got it. I mean, it would have been. The tough part is, like, Lake Fork has a ton of wood. So if I flipped it, and let's say I hit myself on the head or something like that, I would have been in some trouble.
Yeah,
I would have definitely been in some trouble.
And that's, guys, we talk about PFDs all the time on the show, and I know it sounds somewhat like a broken record, but it is that important. We're going to talk about kayak fishing accessories. We're going to talk about kayaks. We're going to talk about lures, electronics, everything. The most important thing you can have on a kayak is your PFD, bar none. So
that should be the first accessory you buy, unless it's a paddle, of course. But
and get a nice one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say the exact same thing. Like, like the inflatable ones I wear. I for years I wore a full one, and it just gets hot. It's uncomfortable. You don't want to wear it. It restricts you. Then I went out and got an inflatable about 2 years ago, and I would never go back.
Yeah.
You put it on, you forget about it, you don't even think about it, and it's just so much more comfortable. So definitely worth the whatever, $120 or what they are.
And so what kind of PFD? What brand do you use?
I actually use a Cabela's brand.
Awesome. And that's Matt Neverman, same brand that he uses. They're affordable. You can get them on sale a lot of times.
Yep.
And when you hear the sticker shock, because PFDs, a lot of guys spend $40 on a PFD. 100 and up is worth the comfort.
Sure, absolutely.
Definitely worth the comfort. So,
I mean, especially if you're spending a lot of time on the water like we are, you're spending, man, I don't even know how many days a week, 50, 60, 70 days a year on the water. So, again, something really comfortable is super important. It's worth that extra $30.
Yeah, and kayak fishing it's about accessorizing. It's about making your boat your boat. You spend a ton of time on the water. You build your own rods. I would say you're meticulous in nature. You know what I mean? Let's talk about some of the accessories you have on your boat. What makes your kayak fishing experience better via accessories?
It really comes down to the individual. I mean, like for myself, I don't really troll a lot, especially for bass. Every couple of times a year, I'll go chase walleye, maybe troll or something like that. But so I set it up really to hold rods. Like my favorite thing I have is really a horizontal rod holder on my right hand side, so I can keep a rod in my hand. I can have one on deck so that if I'm switching between techniques,
nice.
I can switch back and forth. And then of course my Lowrance TI7. That's my favorite thing I have so far, because you got the structure scan, you got the side scan,
That's a cool unit.
Everything is touchscreen. So I'm really enjoying that this year. I'm really starting to discover some things I didn't know existed, and really just kind of improving my time on the water.
So when you say you're discovering things you didn't know existed, what are you excited about? You got to have something. If you didn't know it existed, who makes it, and what is it? Because you're on the cutting edge of kayak fishing. So what accessories are you really excited about?
Man, the big thing is I think Eric and I actually just got a GoPro camera is taking footage on the water.
Yeah.
And one of the really cool things like Roadblazer has it's a flush mount that you can hook into with rod holders, or you can use a camera boom in it. But it actually has a USB power plug on it, so you can hardwire it direct to your battery. Because a GoPro battery lasts an hour and a half if you're pushing it, really conservative. But you can directly hook it up to your battery, and you can run it all day. And it's really nice, because the worst thing that you really want is your battery to run out and you lose the experience that you really want to catch.
Yeah, the battery runs out and you stick a Colorado double digit, and then it's just a fish story.
Yeah. So those new mounts are really awesome. They're out there now. I know they're getting a lot of popularity, and some other brands are starting to come out with some stuff like that too, which is great.
So how do they find this? Railblazer is how you pronounce it. Where do they find it? I'm sure they're on Facebook, and I'm sure they can reach out to you as well.
Yep, you can reach out to me. You can find them on. They're actually sold locally at another sporting goods store when you're in town.
Send them a message. He'll tell you where.
And then you can get them online. I get most of my stuff from yakgear.com, which they carry a lot of cool stuff. And they have a new stand cast, which is really neat. But you can get all the stuff there too.
Perfect. And guys, another thing before we get too far ahead of ourselves here with talking about tournament stuff, because I really want to hit the tournaments. I think it's fun and something new in Colorado, and the CKFC is definitely the fastest growing fishing club in the state. But let's go back to natives real quick. What other models do they have that you would recommend? Let's say a smaller angler, like a woman wanted to get a native. What model would you recommend?
If you want to keep it the propels and stay away from the paddles, a Slayer 10, it's 10 footer, it's a little bit smaller, a little easier to handle, and it's actually a little bit more maneuverable. Or there's the new Ultimate, which the Ultimate's kind of a canoe kayak hybrid. The really nice thing about it, it's a lot lighter. So you can handle it, you can put it on top of a taller car or van, or in the back of a truck really easily. Where my Slayer's a little bit heavier, especially when it's fully rigged. So they're taking a look at some of the alternatives, and of course the paddle boats are out there too, where you can do like the Versa board. I think the next big thing, kayak fishing from paddle boats in general.
Yeah.
So they got the Versa board out there, which is basically a big surfboard, and you can paddle from it. You can hook up a Yeti to it and use it as a seat. So a lot of versatility to it. I think that's kind of the next big thing. I'm starting to see a lot more paddle boards out there.
Oh, for sure. But and so here locally on the Native Pro staff, we've got you, and then we also have Dave Kuzer. If somebody wants to demo a native, do they just get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, get a hold of us, and there's actually a local dealer that's trying to get stuff in stock and try to set stuff up. So there are actually some natives here in stock in Colorado that we can put you in touch with, and hopefully really soon we're going to have a full-blown dealer here that we're going to do some really fun stuff and some demo days and some stuff like that. But just call me, Facebook Dave Kuzer, and we can definitely take you guys out for a ride, or check it out, do whatever we need to do to help you guys out.
And that's the thing. You want to try it for all you guys that are, let's say that you're using I don't want to say an entry-level kayak, but a less expensive kayak, and you're thinking about bumping up. Try them all out first. You know what I mean? Get with us with Hobie. Get with these guys with Native. Go to Confluence Kayaks or any one of the kayak dealers and get in as many as you can and make an educated choice, because when you're talking about the kayaks we fish out of, it's a pretty penny. It's not a drop in the bucket. So and I think it's one of those things. I'm a Hobie guy. You're a Native guy. Sure. But we want people to be in a kayak that suits them best. Sure. We're kind of contractually limited as to what we can say, but there are certain boats that are better for certain anglers, and if you try both, you can make an educated purchase, and you're going to feel comfortable afterwards. The last thing that anybody wants, I don't care if you buy a Hobie, a Native, anything, I don't want somebody leaving having buyer's remorse thinking they made a mistake.
Right.
So try all of them out. And guys, one of the supporters of the LFK podcast is 2020 iVenue. And we've said over and over again the discount that you get 15% off of everything, but it doesn't include contact lenses or insurance claims. That being said, they take all forms of insurance. They can do contacts and all that stuff. They just can't offer the 15% discount. And something new that we're doing starting this week, we're here up north. We're off 144th and I-25. If you get a hold of Matt Neverman, you can message me through Facebook. I'll get you in touch with him. He'll ship free of charge. So let's say you want a pair of Costas. I go to your local Cabela's or go to your local sporting goods store, find a pair that fits you really well, and then contact Matt. And he's going to ship. He's going to ship it for you. Anybody that knows me knows that I love supporting local business. I'm a huge Eagle Quattro Roll Car guy. When you support 2020 iVenue, you're supporting a family. It's not a big corporate chain or anything like that. And Matt is a fisherman that just stuck a ginormous lake trout. I'm not going to tell you where, but hopefully he'll throw the picture up on the feed right now. About 30 pounds.
Yeah, it was a beast.
And the thing that sucked about that is I was supposed to go with him. Last year I was his net guy, so this year I was due. You know what I mean? I was due. I couldn't get off work.
Well, the one that he caught, I don't know, was that today? The one that Johnny netted for him? Or was that an old video they posted?
It was a calculated delay there.
Okay.
One of those things to where
it was a beast. It barely fit in the net. If you didn't see the video, I'm sure it's out there now. It was a beast of a laker.
And the one he caught last year was long, but it wasn't fat. This one was a bona fide heifer. I mean, it was just a big fish, and from a kayak. From a kayak, utilizing high-end electronics like you have, and just throwing swim baits. He doesn't have a cast-to-catch video, because you know how it is when you're running a GoPro. You don't always have it on, which is a shame, because what he said is it hit a basement mag first, and it came unbuttoned, and then after that it ate a hub.
Really? It came back twice?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I guess it opened up and just demolished the hub. Can you imagine, if you, using the mount that you talked about earlier, you have the right point of view that's looking down. Can you imagine the footage of that? But he's got footage of, I want to say it's like 12 minutes worth of fighting it. He's going to have to do something with the audio, because he's really direct on how he tells Johnny to net the fish. I'll just leave it at that. He's really,
some
really
bleeps
direct.
there.
Yeah, definitely some bleeps. But guys, 2020 iVenue, and everything that we talk about with Railblazer, with Native, with all your contact information, we're going to include that in the show notes. And for those of you guys listening to the podcast, we're going to be interacting with guys on live. We got folks here at the store, so every once in a while, if we just kind of blurt something out, it's because we're talking to people. It can be a little weird if they don't realize that we're on Facebook Live, so I want to say that every now and then. And then as well, Cabela's has got some really great deals right now. $30 off St. Croix Premier Split Grip Fishing Rods, which is a great deal. I know a lot of guys are St. Croix fans. We don't all make our own rods, dude. Some of us have to buy them.
Great rod. G. Loomis, St. Croix, a bunch of great rods out there.
And then also 20% off of Cabela's crankbaits. All you guys getting ready to go to Pueblo, and when you said crankbaits, are you talking square bills, or are you talking you're going deep?
I plan to fish square bills first off. Love fishing. I have a lot of wood at Pueblo, so I plan to fish in that 5-6 foot range with the square bill. See what happens.
So let's talk the bass tournaments real quick. I'm a competitive guy, but I've got so much stuff going on with my son and stuff like that. I haven't been able to compete, much to your chagrin.
Hopefully Sunday.
Yeah,
hopefully Sunday.
And the thing is I got to go down there, because I'm going to be bringing the stuff, the goodies. So how competitive are the bass hunts? I mean, is it still buddy-buddy, or is it, hey, dude, we're buddies until we launch, and then let's get it on?
You know, I would say it's a mix. A lot of really competitive guys, but it's guys that, you know, we all know each other. We got Kenny Hood here, you know, talks to him all the time at the tournaments. You know, Mitch Salzman. A lot of guys that have known each other for a little bit through last year's season and this year. So I think that it's buddy-buddy, but we're all really competitive guys and gals, and we're really, you know, I think for the majority of us, we're really focused on qualifying for TOC this year.
So let's talk.
So that's been really, you know, focused on.
Let's top 5. Who would you pick to be your top 5 kayak bass anglers in Colorado? And for all you guys that don't compete,
why are you doing this?
It's a legitimate sport. I mean, we have to talk about it. It's a legitimate sport, and for the guys out there like myself, who are like I'm a good bass angler. I fish out of a kayak, but if you don't show up on tournament day, you got a button up. You can't say anything. So, top 5 guys, if you had to pick, putting you on the spot, who would you pick? Top 5 guys, and 6, 7, and 8 are going to send you messages, and they're going to take you off Facebook and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about top 5, but I'll give you a couple guys that a lot of respect for. They've you know, they've just proven over the course of the last couple of years here. You know, Mitch Salzman.
Yeah.
He is. You know, there's those special kind of guys that can put fish in a boat, no matter the conditions, no matter the situation, no matter the water. He can put fish in the boat. And Mitch made top 5 last year. Went down with us to tournament champions at Lake Fork. I think he placed in the top 30 at that event, which that event had over 110 anglers. So Mitch is great, big finesse guy. I think he'll fish a couple different techniques.
He's an old school bass head too. He's been at it for a long time.
He's a Florida guy, pitching mats and all sorts of stuff. So he's there. You know, Kenny Hood, you know, the guy that's ranked highest in the nationals. You know, what did you rank? 23rd? 23rd at the nationals at the KBF, which had over 200 anglers, and then that's the tournament we were talking about earlier, where that's just going to keep on growing. And you know, you can't argue the results from fishing at national and ranking that high out there.
No.
Especially when you're talking about it was at Kentucky Lake with locals fishing at Kentucky Lake and guys that are from the South that are fishing it. And you got a Colorado boy going out there where we're fishing a little bit different than they do, and still sitting up there at the top 30. Man, there's just so many other anglers. I mean,
and talking about Kenny's finish at Kentucky Lake, have you listened to Ike and Ellie's podcast? Did you listen to the kayak one?
Yep.
I love what Chad Hoover says, because leading up to when Chad was on, they were kind of talking about, why don't you guys pick smaller lakes? Why don't you guys pick somewhere where it's going to be, you know, a little more condensed and you're not fishing these massive bodies of water? And Chad goes, because we want to put our bags against the best anglers in the world. We want to put what we catch against the guys in the big boats. And to me, really, it didn't make sense before. I'm going to be honest with you. When I heard Kentucky Lake, I thought, you guys are nuts. You're going to have bass boats going 80 miles an hour up and down, because there was a big tournament going on too, right?
College.
So you got these guys blazing up and down, you know, going from spot to spot, and you got kayaks out there. But it shows that it's not like the JV league of fishing or anything like that. It's great anglers that use a different style of boat. You know what I mean? And back to what we were talking about, it's just going to continue to grow. Kenny, when you were out there, were the big boats, I mean, did you ever get nervous about the big boats?
Yeah, I had one blade climbing about 20 feet.
Wow. So what, I mean, I would imagine that visibility is really important. So what do you do to make sure that the big boats can see you?
I got a big old orange flag I stick on
Now, do you carry like an air horn and stuff like that too?
there. I do have an air horn. I didn't have to use it, but
Yeah.
big flag, something that sticks up, makes it a mark.
And it's something we're all going to have to prepare for. It's because
even
it's
here, I mean, Chatfield gets crazy, and you know, the day that we had our tournament, tons of boat traffic. I know Kenny got hit with a pretty good wave from one of them. We had big cigar boats and skiers and all this other people out there going real fast, real close to some of our anglers. So, you know, even here, visibility is really important.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about that. So what do you use to make sure that you're visible?
First off, I got a bright kayak.
Yeah.
Mine's chartreuse, you know, with some black in it. But so that's really important. I got lights for at nighttime. I fish at night sometimes on the year, so you know, some LEDs there. And you know, honestly, I don't use as much as I should, but I probably should get a flag.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we've all been at Chatfield, and sometimes I like to sugarcoat stuff, but the more I do the podcast, the less I sugarcoat anything. Chatfield is full of videos. you know, on the weekend, Cherry Creek's the same way. You get guys that they're out there, they're in this big huge boat, they're drinking beer, they're having fun. They're not looking for me or you. You know what I mean? And half the time, they're not even looking for the poor skier that they're towing around either. They're just they keep on trucking. But it's our responsibility. It legally is our responsibility to make sure that we're seen when we're on the water. Yeah, it's this much. You know what I mean? You have to do this much. But as kayak anglers, we have to be proactive, 100%. And that's why I think an air horn on the bigger bodies of water, because if we're tooting a whistle, are they going to hear you? So in air horn, you know what I mean, guys. If you fish the bigger bodies of water, and it's different. Pueblo, you can sneak away. You know, you got all those coves and stuff like
coves,
that.
you can spend an entire day in and not fish all of it at Pueblo.
Okay.
So, but you know, a place like Chatfield where it's a big bowl, it's a little tough for sure.
Yeah, and so how much is an air horn? $10, something like that, maybe. Yeah. So guys, if you're fishing the bigger bodies of water, carry an air horn.
Big orange PFD too.
There you go. And it's important. It's stuff like that guys don't talk about. And one of the reasons we talked about the PFD stuff is there was an incident at Georgetown. You know, and I know I hammer home the safety stuff, but I really think it's important. And I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but do you guys have a pre-trip ritual when it comes to kayaks? Like checking the plugs, the PFDs, stuff like that?
I don't know if it's really ritual, but yeah, you know, I check the scuppers. But you know, just making sure I got everything. I don't really have that ritual, but I'm scared to death that I'm gonna miss some stuff. Like you know, went a couple fish trips last year where I left my battery at home, still on the charger. So that stuff drives me crazy.
That's pretty hard to fish without electronics when you're used to it.
You know what's crazy about that is
I open the hatch in the front of my kayak before every tournament. That way I don't forget the batteries. Because I'm like,
should.
That hatch
There you go.
Oh, that's why.
Well, it's like big boats. So in big boats, you always want to carry an extra plug. But for a kayak fishing tournament angler,
I carry extra scupper plugs. I don't know if I'm the only one, but you know, I've lost a couple when I was on the water draining it. You know, got washed out. So I got a repair bag in my boat, my kayak, and then you know I got spare rudder cables, scupper plugs, the tools I need to fix my boat, pretty much everything. So you know, if something happens out there, I can take care of it.
What about an extra hog trough? You guys both carry an extra?
I don't. I should, because mine's about to break.
Yeah, and it's one of those things to where it's goofy stuff like that can derail somebody. I remember Paul Bassinet, is that how you pronounce his last name?
I think it's close enough.
He lost his phone, or no, he lost a camera. It was at Horsetooth last year. And if you're in a kayak fishing tournament and you don't have a camera,
it's heartbreaking.
You're not fishing anymore. And he felt that frustration. So let's talk a little bit about the equipment needed to compete in Colorado Kayak Fishing Club tournament. You know, you need the hog trough. You need something to take pictures with. They do allow phones and stuff like that. But let's get a little deeper into that.
Ones don't. So that's important to know, because here in Colorado, Dave accepts cell phones as well as cameras, anything that you can zoom in on, that you can see the nose and the tail. But for the national tournaments like the KBF and TOC, I don't think you can use the phones. I think you have to use cameras. I know TOC, you have to use a camera because they take your SD card and you know they go and verify it on the laptop when they're doing weigh-ins, I guess. But
and I think there's going to be a kind of how would you word that? It's going to be the same across the board sooner or later. You know, if you're going to qualify for KBF, you're going to have to use the app that they use, and that's what they use, right? You guys use an app out on the water.
Attorney X, right?
Yep. Attorney X, a really cool company. The guy that runs it, I think is it still him and his son that do all of it?
Wayne Wally.
Yeah. And it's really cool because, again, supporting small business. But what do you guys do to secure your phone or to secure your camera? What do you guys put it in, or are you just taking it out there and hoping you don't drop it?
You know, I don't use floats because I think they look goofy, and you know, I don't think they're very comfortable. So I don't use floats on my rods, anything. You know, if I lose it, if I flip, anything like that, it's just a bad decision. I'm just gonna have to live with the repercussions. But you know, I don't really use much to keep that stuff on. I don't use leashes.
Crazy,
I don't do anything of that.
That's crazy. What about you, Kenny? Do you use anything?
I tether it in this pocket, so I do use about a 6. Well, it's like 3 foot long.
Now, is that waterproof?
Yeah, this is the Galaxy S7, so I don't have to worry about it.
Now, did you buy that phone for kayak fishing?
Yep.
Dude, how cool is that?
Always.
How
I'm looking
cool
at the
is
same
that?
phone. Man.
And I submerged it at Chatfield as well, and it works.
Just,
Yeah, because I had a fish flip off the bog trough, and it took the phone right out of my hand. And woo, if I didn't have that tether, it would have been gone.
If I bought that phone, I'd have to do the Little Wayne and pour some champagne on it. But one of the things that I was really excited about, anybody that's followed my my Facebook Live stuff, this weekend, Matt Neverman and myself, we drove up to the new anchorage. We loaded up a trailer filled with Hobies, and then the next morning we met up with the folks from the Patriot Anglers, and we took vets out on kayaks.
That's awesome.
And it was, to say, I don't know how to fully describe how awesome it was. You know, Lewis was out there in a support boat, and then you had Matt Neverman and myself. We fished out of the PA-17. But one of the things that I love about Hobies is when we were loading the vets on the kayaks, you know, some of them didn't have any kayak fishing experience at all. And I just told them, don't worry, in 5 minutes you know everything that I know. You know, I wish that I could prop myself up as just like kayak guru or something like that. But when you're fishing out of the Hobies, it's just, it's super simple. You know, you go like this to go forward, you go like this to steer, and it's super, super stable. So they hopped in the kayaks, and they were just gone. I mean, almost immediately they were gone. And at Lone Tree, you know where the launch is at, and then the canal way back in the back?
Yeah.
As a group, we all went way back there. And it was just a blast. Everybody was sticking walleye. Lewis had everybody on the bite. And then after we were done, we got everybody off the kayaks. You know, we were all talking about how fun it was. And then, without getting too deep, we started talking about how special it is to be on the water, because it is. There's something about it, and we all feel it. You're the first one on the lake. All the guys in the big boats are waiting to get inspected and all that jazz. But you're on the lake, water's placid, and it's just you in the water. There's something awesome about that. You know, I don't know how to put it into words or anything like that. But one of the guys said, he goes, you know, this fishing is what I do to relieve stress, and this was even better than that. And it was one of those things. I'm so thankful for the Patriot Anglers and everything that they do, and also for Eileen and John at the new anchorage, because it was one of those deals. They didn't have to say yeah, you know what I mean, but they did right away. And it's one of those things to where I'm a Hobie guy through and through, no doubt about it. I want, you know, I could BS you and say, you know, I want us all to be equal. I want Hobie to kick every kayak's butt, but this is more important than that. And I think that if we can get some native guys to come out, we can get some Jackson guys to come out, and maybe we can make this event, maybe only yearly. Let's get 20 guys out on boats. Let's get 25 guys out on boats, and then maybe the year after that it grows and we can take families out and stuff like that. But the only way that's going to work, it's got to be bigger than Hobie. You know, it's got to have all of us. You know, the old town, it's got to have native, it's got to have Jackson, and there are some limiting factors, because it's one of those things to where with the Hobie and the Slayer, with the native Slayer, they're super, super stable. You know, the folks aren't worrying about balancing themselves too much; they're just having fun. So some of the kayaks, it's not going to work. And me personally, I don't think it works. But if we can all get together and work with Lewis and all the folks at the Patriot Anglers, I think we could do something really great. And I haven't done a lot of research into Healing Waters. Do you know anything about that? Is it a pretty good organization?
They're a great organization. They're so small.
Yeah.
They handle the more disabled veterans, the ones that, you know, unfortunately lost legs, amputees, things like that. So.
And one of the things we can do through Hobie is we can take the 17s out. What's the kayak organization that takes vets out?
It's Heroes on the Water, isn't it?
Is it?
Heroes on Water.
That's the one with KBF, which we're actually talking a little bit with from you know, they reached out to CKFC, so
Good,
you know,
good.
we'll take a look at that. But you know, it's I think they take out disabled anglers and do some really cool stuff. They're associated with the KBF. I know they do a lot out there, so I mean, great group.
Well,
Anytime you get out there helping out, you know, vets and Patriots in general, it's just a great thing.
Well, and it's I'm trying to think of how to describe it, because they're always so thankful. Every time I've done anything with the Patriot Anglers, everybody's so thankful, and you're just sitting there going, dude, I can't thank you enough for what you've done. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that it's just awesome, and we're going to do it more, but we're limited to 6 boats. You know, so we're going to do it more, and it's cool to have the smaller gatherings and stuff like that. But we're going to try to shoot for once every couple months, and then I'll work with you. We'll work with the CKFC, and we'll try to really make that something special. But it's something I was really proud about. And the Patriot Anglers guys, you got to check them out. PatriotAnglers.us. They do everything. You guys do fly fishing, boat fishing, ice fishing. There's nothing that you guys don't do, right? Awesome. And I'm working on a private body of water. to take the guys out and catch a bunch of bluegill. But I wanted to talk a little bit about that. And Patriot Anglers is just an awesome group. And I do have something else I gotta. So on July 9th, we've got Family Outdoor Adventure Day. There's going to be games, activities, talks, prizes. Guys, go to cabela's.com/Thornton and check it out. There's going to be more information on the site. One of the cool things about Cabela's is there's always events going on during the weekend. They want to get families involved in the outdoors, and everybody knows that if it gets kids away from video games,
Good thing.
all about it. So Kenny, top 5. It's too hard. Top 5 bass kayak anglers in the state. Who would you pick top 5?
Jim Needler.
Oh, the natural. You got to say the natural. Yeah.
Me, and me.
Myself, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Duong. Definitely Mitch Salzman. And Jonathan.
Zerko?
Well, Jonathan Zerko's back. He doesn't compete with us.
Yeah.
How do you say Inouye?
Yeah.
Jeremy Inouye.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Inouye. I don't know if he's watching, but it took me a long time to get that one right. And it's one of those things to where TLC is at Lake Fork again this year.
Yep. Lake Fork.
Are you guys already planning how you're going to fish? Are you already studying how you're going to fish Lake Fork?
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this year versus last year, I caught a ton of bass, hundreds of bass, but I couldn't catch the big one. And this year, I think the big thing is fishing a little bit different. Going there, I'm probably gonna fish a little bit bigger than I did the first time. Throwing leadless suns and then some of this other stuff that I didn't really think about doing too much last year. So definitely looking at a little different.
What was it? An 18-inch average at one last year? I mean, it was a big average, but it's not. That could happen at Quincy. That could happen at maybe Lone Tree at a number of different fisheries out here.
I was at Quincy Sunday night. I think my biggest three were all over 18 or right there. So yeah, I mean, not huge ones, but I know in pre-fishing there was a guy out of I think it was Kansas that stuck a 12-pounder.
Oh wow!
2 days before the tournament, he stuck it throwing a crankbait down a bridge piling. So there's definitely big bass. Lake Fork's one of those magical places that if you're a bass guy, I mean, it's the place you want to be.
So, I think what I would have done at Lake Fork, and that kind of, let me throw the excuse out right now. My kid's appendix went out right beforehand, so I couldn't go. I was in the hospital for 7 days with him, but I already know the mistake I would have made, because I already bought all the tackle for it, is I was going to fish big the whole time. What the guy win? What was he using? It wasn't anything big, was it? If I remember right, it wasn't finesse, but it wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't the spoons that I bought.
No, it was a floater spoons or big football jigs or swim baits. If I remember right, I think he won it with drop shotting in the wood in the timber, which I think the guy the year before I know won it that way was he basically just tied off to a tree, because there's a lot of trees out there, just fished a section of trees and eventually caught the one that won it all. So
and that's I wouldn't even have brought drop shots. I probably would have had it in my
panic box?
Yeah, in my panic box. I call it something else I can't really say, but yeah, I would have had it in my panic box. But it would have been, a couple of finesse worms from Power Team Lures or something like that. It wouldn't have been a wide selection of baits. But I think that would have definitely been the mistake that I made. So now a lot of you guys are going year 2, better game plan, more knowledge of the lake. Do you think somebody from Colorado can win it?
Absolutely. I think the group that we went down there 10 strong last year, and I think this year will be at least 10 of us. And a lot of good sticks. And Lake Fork is one of those places that you don't need many, just a couple good ones, and you can win the day. I think last year the top position I think was like 97 inches or something like that, and which he didn't really have a big Lake Fork fish. Those 10, 12 pounders, those 23 to 25 inch fish. None of those got caught up the tournament. I think big bass is 22. That last year's TLC. So
and that could be caught in Colorado. But that's why I think I would have messed up last year, is because I would have been honestly. What was the winning purse? It was like $9 grand or $10 grand, something like that.
It was 13 grand.
Wow.
Was what the gentleman that won, because he won 11 grand from the tournament, and I believe it was 2 grand for big bass.
So, from Colorado anglers, if you had to pick, you win or you catch a double-digit pre-fishing, what would you rather do?
You know,
He's tournament mode all the way. I want to win, and I'm over here going,
that'd be a tough one for me.
Yeah, I mean, you can always make more money. Who knows? As a Colorado angler, who knows when you're going to have another shot at a double digit? You know, unless you go out there all the time, and even then, it's not a guarantee. See, that's the way to think about it. Kenny's got a plan. It's tough. I 10 grand or catching a double digit. I would rather catch a double digit. To be honest with you.
I lean towards that for sure, just because, you know, to me and you and a lot of the people out there right now, you know, fishing's the thing that you kind of wake up and think about and go to sleep thinking about. So, you know, that dream of catching that double digit, thought about that a lot in my life, and getting the opportunity to do it, that'd be so awesome.
Well, it's one of those things to where it's in Colorado. That's a unicorn. You know what I mean? It's a unicorn. So whenever in the last couple of years, I haven't caught too many fish over 6. I've caught quite a few over 5, but not too many over 6. And whenever you catch a fish over 5 and it comes out of the water, you immediately start just kind of going, oh, is this the one? Is this the one? Sooner or later, one of us is going to get the one on in Colorado. And I hope it's from a kayak, because that would just be killer. Can you imagine that? One of us with a 10-pound largemouth, you know, from a yak. And the thing is a lot of these lakes that might have the potential for a double-digit fish, which everybody knows, smaller bodies of water, I won't talk about them, but there is a couple gyms in the state that do grow tanks that are perfect for kayak fishing. You know, double-digit bass out of kayak in Colorado, just unreal. Another question I want to ask you guys, bass tournament lake that you guys would like to see a bass tournament on, kayak-wise? Yeah, in Colorado. The queue's too small, so that one's tough.
You couldn't get more than 10 boats on it at most.
You know what would be crazy for next year or somewhere down the line? Is you have a tournament, let's say you have a qualifying day on Saturday, and let's say it's at Chatty or something like that, and then you narrow it down to 10, and you allow spectators as well, then you go to the queue.
Do a championship series.
Oh, that would be killer.
That'd be fun.
That would be killer.
I think Bar Lake.
Bar would be cool. I actually live by Bar, and I can't talk much about it because my friends will kill me. So I'll just leave it at that. Bar Lake is a good lake, and that's all I have to say about that.
You know, and you know, I'm not sure which lake, but I think one thing that we should probably circle back, you know, because we're bass guys, so we're talking a lot about bass.
Yeah, for sure.
We got that multi-species tournament too, which is actually the most popular tournament that CKFC does. It's the biggest tournaments, and you know, I think a lot of people really love those tournaments. And I think the strategy for that is completely different than the bass tournaments.
And again, but strategy plays a huge role. It's mapping out what you're going to target first with the multi-species events. And let's talk a little bit about the structure. How are the multi-species events structured? Can they turn in 5 bass? Does it have to be a mixed bag? How does it work?
So hopefully I'm not going to get this wrong.
Kuzer, you might have to correct us.
So you can catch, for the multi-species, because we didn't want to beat up the bass too much, you can catch 2 bass, 3 walleye, or 2 bass, 2 walleye, and 1 carp. You can only measure 1 carp.
Oh, I would go after the carp first thing.
So it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but you know, definitely you got to make that decision on what you're going to run after.
And how fun is that? Because it's like we're bass guys. For the most, I mean, we're both multi-species guys. We both fly fish. But you know, if we had to pick one, it would be bass. How cool is it to get guys out of their comfort zone? You get the bass guys chasing walleye, you get the walleye guys chasing bass, and the multi-species events. I can't encapsulate the vibe, but it's flat out fun. If you go, whether you put a fish on your hog trough or not, you're going to have fun. You know, and at the end of the event, you're going to learn. You know, because and I don't know if you guys are still doing it this year, but last year. You get the top 3 places, they get up there and they kind of tell you how they caught them and stuff like that, to where it's a learning experience for everybody. But the vibe is the most important part of the multi-species event. And there's been more kids this year than last year. At the end of last year, I think we had 1 or 2 youth anglers, already more kids this year, correct?
Yeah, we've had 2 for the first tournament. We're expecting some more for Pueblo, so a lot more of that. And you know, club in general, but we're also seeing more ladies.
Awesome.
Participating. I know Melanie participated at the Chatty tournament. She actually won a paddle. She was the first one to enter a fish on Facebook, so that was awesome with a 19-inch walleye. Biggest walleye I think that was caught at the tournament.
Yeah, a 19-inch walleye from Chatty is great.
It's a solid walleye for sure.
And now Melanie, she bought a Mirage Drive Sport, which I don't know. A lot of you guys on the Born to Fish Media page might not be friends with me on Facebook, but the Sport's not meant for a dude like me.
Is that the one that you were like?
Yeah, dude.
I mean,
the weight limit is like 275.
I think half your
I'm not
behind was
275. But it was fun because, again, you know, testing limits. If I can maneuver around in that Sport, I mean, anybody normal size is going to absolutely love it. And another cool thing, I don't want to shamelessly plug the new Anchorage, but I will.
I can tell you, if you're going to tell the story is great from Melanie. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, so she bought a boat from the new Anchorage. You know, at first Matt took her out at Bar Lake. You know, I think he brought a Revo, an Outback, and a Sport. She's cruising around in all of them. You know, make sure she gets the one that she wants. She decided on the Sport. They ordered it. It's not in yet. So the new Anchorage is letting her take the demo boat to compete in the tournament. How cool! You get that from a family-owned shop. You don't necessarily get that from a big corporate thing where they got 65 stores and stuff like that. So the new Anchorage, guys, I can't say enough about it. You know, and Melanie, she gave the new Anchorage a shout out on the club page, which is really, really cool. But I think she's going to do well.
I think so too. I think you know, her, and I know we have another lady, I can't remember her name, that's participating, but I can tell you the photos that she posted the other day, she actually caught a carp, walleye, and bass. She had the full multi-species.
Is it a
bag.
Hobie lady?
You know, I'm not sure what she was in.
Because sooner or later, Sandy Roberts is going to fish one of our events, and that would be really, really cool.
I heard Sandy's
she's
dangerous,
a stick.
right?
She's a stick. Well, and she's a competitive bass angler, and then she also does a lot of stuff fly fishing. So it's one of those things. And in Colorado, guys, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a bass guy, but I fully take advantage of everything. You know, I'll chase bass with swim baits on Saturday, and then I got a little fiberglass 4-weight, and I'll go chase brookies on Sunday. You know what I mean? But you know, guys, again, check out Colorado Kayak Fishing Club on Facebook. Give them the website address. Dude, you're the guy, man.
I think it's kayakfishingco.com.
And we'll include that in the show notes. Anything else kayak fishing that we haven't hit yet? Because we got the accessories. Dude, you posted a cart the other day that, you know, I use a Hobie cart, but that cart looked freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's a C-Tug cart made by Railblaza. Great cart, really, really solid. The beauty of it is how small you can take it apart. You can, you know, drag it down to Aurora or whatever, and if you don't want to go back to your cart and put the cart away, it just pulls apart. You can stuff right in your hatch and get on your way. It's really nice. It's lightweight and it's rugged. Because I built some of my own build-it-yourself PVC carts, which work well, but I've always had them fail on me eventually. And there's nothing more heartbreaking than trying to drag your kayak down there and all of a sudden you hear the PVC break. So, you know, it's definitely sucks. So, but you know, the C-Tug carts are really good. And there's, you know, a couple other good carts out there, but you want something that holds it tight, where if you get hit a bump or something, you're not going to lose your kayak out there. And one thing, the PAs, you know, use the scupper carts. Be careful when you use the scupper carts with any other kayak, because PAs are actually built specifically for the scupper plugs, so they're reinforced. Most other kayaks aren't. So a lot of other kayaks use them, and if you crack a scupper, they're actually not covered under warranty. So be careful with that.
Great information, and what I'll do is I'm gonna take video of this and I'm gonna cut that up because that's great information. What's the price point of that cart? Because carts, if it makes your life easier as a kayak angler, price, in my opinion, price doesn't matter.
You get a good one, they'll last for years and years and years, multiple kayaks. That one, the one I got was $149. It didn't have the sand wheels because out here we don't have a ton of sand. They also make one with upgraded wheels that can handle and go through sand a little bit better for $189.
Well, in $189, that's what I paid for my Hobie cart, and I absolutely love it. Any kayak angler out there, if you're not experienced with taking your boat out, a couple things accessory-wise, we talked about the PFD. I don't want to hammer that home any further, but next for me would be the kayak cart. You know, I think it's that vital because a lot of spots that I fish, I'm not backing right up to a ramp. You know, I'm a small body of water kind of guy, and without a cart, the PA's heavy. My PA is 149 pounds or something like that. And that's without my ridiculous amount of gear. So without the cart, I couldn't fish a lot of spots that I fish.
I mean, if you're going to get the most potential of your kayak, it's really fishing the places that big boats can't go. And really do that, you got to have a good cart. You got to have a cart that goes over different types of terrain and it's really secure, because you know, if you're really dragging it out there, you got to be able to do it and do it comfortably and you know, not have to worry about it. And you need actually a really beefy cart, because yours is 150 without gear. Mine's I think 80 without gear, but with all my gear on it, I'm well over 100.
Yeah.
And if I'm fishing far away from my car, you know, that cart's got to be pretty strong so I can get it there and get it back pretty safely.
And guys on the live feed, what we're going to do here in a couple minutes, Jason and myself, we don't have eagle vision. We can't really read what's going on. So in a couple minutes, we'll do Q&A and we'll bring that a little bit closer. So let's talk to guys that want to start competing. We've already talked CKFC. They know where to find us. They know where to get into the tournaments, all that stuff. Let's talk about some of the online stuff that you guys do. Before I say that, a little shameless plug. I'm the first guy in Colorado to win one of those events. The KBF. I was the first one to win one of the monthly tournaments for Colorado.
You beat me by a half of an inch, and then I killed him the next one.
Dude, I lost. It was
because he allegedly didn't have time to fish.
Well, no, I went the last day that you were able to turn fish in, and I think I culled one that was tiny, but I had one up to the boat that, you know, it's one of those things. The one that gets away is always a little bit bigger, but it was at least 18. I actually think it was quite a bit bigger than 18, but if I say that, it's gonna. Bottom line, I lost. Okay, he won. But let's talk. Where do they find these tournaments?
You know, the biggest one's definitely KBF. There's some other tournaments out there, but you know, KBF is really taking the whole online thing and kind of taking it to that next level. So, you know, it's through Tourney X. You do it online. They do tournaments every single month. They qualify for the big game at the KBF Nationals, which I think is in April or March of next year. So, you know, you qualify for that. It'll be big money. And then, you know, the local tournaments, they actually club us up with some of the, not only Colorado guys, but some of the regional guys. So you got Idaho's on the list, Utah, Colorado. There's another state or two I can't remember off the top of my head, but they kind of clubbed us all together that we're all similar waters.
I remember when they were structuring that.
They wanted to put us with Arizona.
Yeah, and I went. We both went nuts on that. Like, no, you can't compete us with Arizona. There's no way. But so KBF, what's the funnest part about that? Is it seeing your buddies compete? And you look on the leaderboard, or is it just knowing that you're buying the ticket to the big dance? You know what I mean? Is that the ticket to the big dance? And then you guys have profiles online too through KBF, right? Have you went through like Kenny has and done up your profile?
You know, I haven't. You know, I got the profile on the CKFC side, but no, I haven't done the on Tourney X yet.
So what all does your profile include, Kenny?
Like, covers your complete history of KBF completely, all through Tourney X. So every fish you've turned in, all length is verified. It's got a sponsorship spot where you can show off your sponsors.
Too cool.
Profile picture and a hero shot as well.
Too cool, and that's free. That's just competing.
Well, it's $20 to become a member from Tourney X, and then you can create your own profile, and all that information is tracked from you for you.
And let's talk kayak anglers, because the deal is I don't want to say it's big business yet, but it's well on its way, and anglers competing need all the help that they can get. So great. So guys, if you guys are out there, you're listening to the podcast right now, you want to take kayak angling serious, if you want to stick out to sponsors, it's more than just competing. You know, it's having stuff like that. It's doing stuff like this, making yourself accessible, because I think what's going to happen is there's going to be more seminars, there's going to be more, you know, basically the stuff the big bass guys are doing is going to be available for kayak anglers. A good way to get your foot in the door is through Tourney X with the profile and stuff like that, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Just you know, being out there and getting your name out there, of course, always helps out, and you know, just making sure you're available to other anglers, of course, because I think that profile, you start getting questions. I know that's part of what I enjoy the most about, you know, being associated with the CKFC and the group, is just getting questions from people that are starting out. So that profile definitely helps out, and yeah, sponsors, of course, and you know, getting on some staffs if that's the route that you want to take.
Well, and the thing is, so the Facebook right now, I'm going to lose some followers for this, no doubt about it. But Facebook right now, it's all about pro staff. Everybody wants to be pro staff. It's been building up like this for a couple years. Guys, there's a right way and a wrong way to be a part of a pro staff.
Don't pay for it.
Yeah, don't pay for it.
Don't pay for it.
Don't pay for it.
That's the first thing. If somebody says they want you to pay to be a part of a pro staff, don't do it.
I saw that today from Power Team Lures, that the company that does that, they're looking for 100 pro staff spots. It's like, I don't know if the company's legit, so I'm not going to throw them under the bus, but first things first, you don't pick the companies you represent by who wants to sponsor something. You want to pick companies that you already use their gear, or let's say it's like me with Hobie. I didn't get a Hobie and then right away I was on the team. I used my Hobie for a while. I knew I loved my Hobie, and then when the opportunity arose, I was all about it. But over the years as an outdoor rider, I was offered pro staff stuff a lot, and you know, Miller Lite and Folgers coffee never came calling. So as a rider, that's all I used to ride. I didn't. It wasn't about equipment. But for the guys out there that are just getting started, it's going to be a business. You're going to have to approach it as a business. And a couple things that I would suggest looking at. First and foremost, you want to believe in the products, but who's going to really support you? You know what I mean? Because you can get on a pro staff, and if they don't feature you on anything, what good does it do you? 10% off lures? What
don't do it for the discount.
You know, yeah, it doesn't do anything.
Discounts aren't worth it to a big picture. You know, associate with companies that you want to be a brand advocate for. You know, I think I'm kind of the same way with Native. I had a Native for 2 years before I joined the pro staff, and just really loved the product. And you know, got the opportunity to join it, and you know, it's been a brand that I was advocating for before I even joined the staff. So it's kind of been one of those things, but. You know, it's don't do it for the discount. It's just not worth it.
Well, and you have to work for them. You know what I mean? And that's another thing that people don't understand. Is you have to work for them. When they call and they say, "Hey, it's special outdoor day at this store over here. You need to be there." You can't say, "Well, wait a minute, dude. I just wanted the discount." You need to get your butt down there. And then when somebody asks you about a product, you have to be there. It's like with the Hobie fishing team. When somebody asks me about a product, like just like you, I get stoked. I get excited because I get excited to get people on to products that they really, really enjoy, you know. And I've been getting a hard time for this funny beetle, but I'm telling you guys, if you pick the beetle up and you cast it a few times, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's just one of those things that I really wanted to hit on because it's, you know, it's a soft spot, you know, because Facebook right now, what you do is you have, like, so I own CPR Fishing. I'll get, I don't know, 20 a day, and it's one of those things to where I appreciate all of them, but here locally, first and foremost, here locally, I got dudes. You know what I mean? I got dudes. I got dudes all over, to where I don't feel like I need to do anything local. So I sponsored 3 guys, but when they approached me, how they did it was really cool because they talked about how they would get my brand out there, opposed to give me. The first thing, if you start any pro staff application, especially if it's via Facebook Messenger, and you ask people to give you stuff, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? So how do you approach companies? How do you go about it? Do you email? Do you call?
You know, it kind of depends a little bit. And the hardest one's always your first one.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I got a fishing resume that has the groups I'm associated with, and you know, the different organizations I'm with, and then you know, when you talk to people, you talk to the marketing person, whatever it is, and it really, it's not about what the company can do for you, but it's about what you can do for the company and how you want to support them, and how you're building that partnership between the two of you. Because I mean, the other really, really important thing is don't sell out. You know, you're also talking about your brand.
Yeah.
You want to do it the right way too. You don't want to, you know, promote lures that you haven't caught fish on. You know, all this other stuff that's out there. You know, treat your brand as important as it's their brand, and you know, approach it that way.
What a great way to put it. Building a partnership, because that's what it is. You don't want to represent a company for a year. You want to be in it for the long haul. You know, and like you said, you have a fishing resume. Kenny through Tourney X, and now, you know, here in Colorado, the 2 guys that have finished highest in these tournaments nationally, you've got Mitch and Kenny. You know what I mean? That speaks volumes. But you still, you have to find a way, like you said, with the fishing resume, but you have to find a way to make it stick out a little bit. Because through Facebook, what's going on now is any major company, if I'm getting 20 a day, they're getting thousands a day, easy. So you have to find something that sticks out. And believe it or not, guys, sometimes it takes a phone call. A phone call and being a little bit consistent, persistent, if you will, is going to help you. And it's one of those things to where it's going to be a legitimate livelihood here soon. And I hope some of the guys here locally are a part of it. You know, and it's sponsorships are going to help you, and be realistic with your expectations too. To start, you know, big companies might not be offering crazy stuff, but if you build that partnership and that relationship, in a couple years when you're ready to hit the big time, you'll have people backing you, and they'll, you know, you'll get a text saying, "Hey, dude, good luck." You know.
I mean, and before you sign up for it or go out there and look for sponsors and pro staff, I mean, one of my biggest suggestions is pro staff's not for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people don't have the time to commit to it, or the desire to, or you know, any of that type of stuff. So just make sure you want to do it, because it's definitely, you know, turns your hobby a little bit more into work, because you got to work the shows sometimes, or demos and those things. So just make sure you want to do it, because you know, unless you want to put the time in, the discount's not worth it. So just make sure it's a company you're really happy with and you really want to do.
Well, and at the end of the day, a discount's, I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. A discount's really cool, but you want it to boost your brand as well as helping the company out. You know, so it's just one of those things that it's not super exciting to talk about, but when it comes to kayak fishing, it's something we have to talk about, because I do think some of the Colorado guys are going to be in the higher level tournaments. And let's say that 2 years from now BASS goes, okay guys, kayak fishing elite, you know, 2 qualifying tournaments, stuff like that. That's when we'll pull together as a community, and whoever's going to go out there and fish it, I think we'll all make sure that happens. And that's what's cool about the CKFC. Guys, again, 2020 iVenue, not just fishing glasses, and Matt will also ship now. So if you have any questions about 2020 iVenue, send me a message. Send Matt Neverman a message. They've been a supporter of the LFK podcast since the beginning. I got something I want to show you guys. So now, check that out. Let me grab another one. Now at the Cabela's fishing department, look at those 2 guys right there. How cool is that? And on Saturdays, they're going to be giving them out. Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to move this forward a little bit. We're going to do some Q&As. It's going to get weird, dude. It's going to get weird.
Get in here and get cozy.
All right, guys, now that we can see it, we'll do Q&As for a little bit. Kenny, are you going to do TOC and KBF this year?
Yes, sir.
Jeremy, dude, Jeremy's out of control. You are out of control, my friend.
I'm also going to the KBF Open on Toledo Bend in Texas, October.
Nice.
Kind of
Nice.
Jeremy right now.
Yeah, dude, real nice, bro. Real nice. But look at him, right? The first thing, we're going to do a Q&A, and he's talking about how ugly we are. Jeremy was also at the Vets with the kayaks this weekend for the Patriot Anglers. Really cool for you to donate some of your time like that, Jeremy. And we got to get you on the live feed a little bit more, because the last time we had him on the live feed, he got a little nervous. And whenever people get nervous, I get excited. So next time we get you on the live feed, you called me ugly, Jack. It's on. It's on, buddy. And I don't care if I have to go to all the local lakes in the Louisville area and sniff out where the dynamic lures are swimming to find them. You will be on live, my friend. So it's coming. Let's see. No, dude, I don't think you choked at all. But I will say this. You are handsome. You are handsome, my friend. But yeah, guys, so let's try to keep the questions to kayak fishing. And you know what? Just shoot questions away. Yeah, we'll with the 2 of us, we can talk swim baits, we can talk fly fishing, we can talk walleye, we can talk a little bit of everything. And dude, I'm just excited for this weekend's event. I'm going to try to make it both days, Saturday and Sunday. I'm not going to fish Saturday, but hopefully I can fish on Sunday. I haven't been to Pueblo in, dude, I don't know how long.
Pueblo's one of my favorite lakes. I mean, if you're talking about one of the best fishers in Colorado, Pueblo's definitely up there, because there's so many species. I hear from guys like Neil and some of the other guys that I've seen out there this year, Dave Kuzer, that it has been fishing better than it has for a while, from my understanding on it. So, you know, bass and walleye, so it should be a great time out there. A lot of fish for sure. And I got my little tournament stash already here.
See, and people, it's out of view, so that's good. Let's see.
Oh man, I'll show you. See, I got stuff.
Oh, see, Jimmy Blanco. Jimmy, I appreciate your suggestion on the IPA. Next time, do a little fine print that says don't drink more than 6 of them. Because
is that last night?
Yeah, I had a few.
Ah, so that's that.
Yeah, okay. I had a few.
Gotta explain some stuff from mine.
Dude, but I'm not that guy. If I have a few, dude, I'm the same way all the time. The only thing that happens when I have a few is I smile a little bit bigger, and that's it. But yeah, let's see. Thoughts on doing a carp tourney from a kayak? I think it would be cool. I think it would be really cool. I think that the thing that's hard is that the way that we do stuff through the CKFC is some of the guys that might not know that you don't just have a tournament at a body of water. You have to get permits, you have to do all this, and it's time consuming. You know, Dave Kuzer he does a great job as a tournament director, and I don't know that tournament director really encompasses everything that he does.
I mean, he is. He's tournament director. He's a moral compass for us. I mean, the guy is.
He's the backbone of the CKFC.
You can't say enough about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. I think it would be cool. The thing is there enough interest from you guys? You know, let's say we can get 20 guys, 25 guys. I think it would be great. What else I think would be cool is have 2 divisions. I don't know if we have enough guys to fly fish only, but that's how I would be targeting.
I can tell you this Saturday, I might have a fly rod in my boat, in my kayak. So when I need to get that kicker carb, I might whip out my 6-weight and try to see if I can get one.
I mean, that's the only way you can get them to eat. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you could use bait, but it's one of those things to where how much time will you dedicate to the carp?
Right. I mean, you can throw bait out there. You know, like do a St. Louis style, throw some corn out there and just hang on and see what happens. But you know, I don't want to sit all day. It's gonna be hot.
Yeah.
So you know, if it's not too bad, I'm gonna stand up and see if I can go find some tailors.
Well, and that's the thing. For those of you guys that don't know, yes, on a fly rod only. Why should I buy a kayak instead of a boat? Jeff, that's a great question. Great question. I think you should buy what you want to fish out of. Now, I'm all about kayaks, but I'm all about making people happy. I want guys to fish as much as they can. I can tell you why I bought a kayak instead of a boat. Jason can tell you why he bought a kayak instead of a boat. I don't want to wait in inspection lines. I don't want to fix motors. I don't want to deal with oil. And I don't want to deal with crowds. I didn't get a kayak to patrol the roadbed at Chatfield. I got a kayak to be the only boat on the body of water that I'm at. You know what I mean? And that's what's so fun about the KBF online stuff. But, you know, same question. Why a kayak instead of a boat?
You know, a lot of the same reasons. There's more water you can fish. It's more accessible. A lot of places up in the mountains actually close their boat ramps in August or whatever, but you can still hand launch from a lot of these lakes. So having a kayak definitely aids to that. And for me, you know, most of the time I'm fishing by myself. You know, or a couple buddies already have kayaks. So a single, you know, a kayak's a little bit easier for me to manage, get on the lake and fish out of than a boat is. But in a perfect world, I'd have both. I'd have the glitter boat and my boat.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's the thing is it's, you know, I know a lot of really good bass anglers in the state that fish out of big boats that I'm sure that they would like to ease of a kayak. You know what I mean? More than every once in a while. And that's something I'd like to do. Sam, if you're watching, I've already talked to the folks at Eagle Claw. We're good for the show. I just need to know when you're free. And then I also want to get you out in a Hobie. Let's see. Do you think trolling motors will ever be allowed like the Old Town? In my opinion,
debate right now.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Maybe 2 different divisions, but when it comes to big tournaments, you can't have 2 divisions. You know what I mean? So I don't know. My thing is this, and as soon as I say this, anybody that doesn't have a pedal drive yak they're gonna spit out their Coca-Cola. But if you're not powered by your person, I don't understand it, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Because in my opinion, if I was going to get a trolling motor on a kayak for tournaments, not even for tournaments, a Coleman crawdad with a trolling motor on it is a heck of a boat. Heck of a boat. You know what I mean? So I just don't know. What do you think?
You know, it's tough. For me, it's the same way. You know, I know they're out there. They're getting more and more popular. Everybody's coming out with them, it seems like. You know, definitely extends your fishing distance and all this other stuff. When we're talking about tournaments, it's tough because, and I get it, the guys that are paddling now are saying that people that pedal have a distinct advantage. So it's tough. I mean, if you do have disability now, you can use the motor in our CKFC tournaments. You know, a year ago I would have said no, I don't want motors in it. I'm starting to lean a little bit softer on it because I think from the feedback I've got, a lot of these boats, they can't move any faster than we can in a Hobie PA or native. And you know, you're going to run out of battery eventually, so you know, it's a little bit different.
It's going to open up more money for the tournaments because you're going to get motor companies that are going to be willing to throw down some money, and then you're also going to have some redneck engineering where some dude just threw like a $100 Minn Kota on the back of his yak, and sometimes it works great, other times it could be problematic, but it's one of those things. Wherever the market takes it, I'll be okay with, you know. But personally, like here in Colorado, we don't have Kentucky Lake, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. Marcin, I was watching that video. Dude,
it's an awesome video.
Too cool. Whenever you get a chance, dude, would you take a video and give us the lay of the land on that boat, because I think I don't fully understand how he's got it rigged. Do you?
No, I mean I know it's foot control.
Yeah,
There's a speed control now. I mean that's really neat. You know, I didn't couldn't see a clear photo, and I was too worried, you know, paying attention to you sticking that fish, so I couldn't really see real well.
And maybe it's one of those things we're just kind of paranoid. Like you think motors, and we're thinking like the dude's gonna have a 25 horse tiller on the back or something crazy. It's just a trolling motor, so maybe they limit it to a certain pound thrust. Right. You know what I mean? Because
that's his favorite noise, by the way. If you don't know this, he's gonna have a meltdown. It's all right.
Beat your kids. Beat your kids. Here, handle it for a second. I'm gonna hide my receiver. I didn't fully think that through. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm gonna contact the folks at Cabela's, and I'm gonna see if I can get a sponsorship through Pop Guns, because I do love them. So let's see. Dude, at least we got an hour and 17 minutes of Pop Gun free. And the thing is if it's a kid, I don't care. Last time we were here when those pop guns were going off, there was like it was like two young adults right here going pop, pop, pop. I'm like, dude, you're my kid.
At you in the eyes.
Yeah. Kenny's seen it in person. So how's Marston's trolling motor hooked up?
Is it a foot control, like a traditional?
No, it's just like a square box. He ordered it. It's a control box that does forward and reverse.
Okay.
Cabled from the foot braces in the front of the kayak to run right and left, so you can turn the motor. And
oh, too cool.
They fabricated a bracket to go on the back of the kayak, and it fits really nice.
Is it Bassiak's? Is it a Bassiak setup, or did you do this yourself, Marson?
No, this is all Marston's own.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Well, he ordered some parts, but like the bracket and everything is his own fabrication.
And it looks clean. I'm getting it.
It's beautiful.
Dude, Marson, dude, send it over, and we'll feature it on Born to Fish Media. We'll feature it on LFK Podcast. I really like to see it, because anything like that is cool. And you know, maybe we need to open our eyes a little bit more about the motor thing. Again, maybe not for CKFC, but you know, maybe eventually, because Hobie sells a motor that you could drop down in where the Mirage Drive goes.
Native has a mount that they just came out that does the same thing. So.
And it looks really cool. It's just one of those things. You know, I'm not making any kayak fans by saying that at that point you could search Craigslist for a long time and get a Coleman crawdad. But again, you know, I'm sure Marson uses both the motor and his paddle. You know what I mean? So that does add versatility. If you try to use a paddle on a Coleman crawdad,
you're a little upset.
Yeah, and my battery went dead a couple times, and me being uber prepared when I was younger, those things are going to drive me nuts, dude. I actually had to pop off the top of Plano boxes, and I put them on my big Shrek hands, and I was just doing this to go from A to B. But let's see. I'd love to rock my Sea Eagle. Jimmy, it's one of those things to where I don't know the future of it. You know, we can't tell the future of it, and I don't know how big your Sea Eagle is. It's one of those things to where if you do want to fish it in the tournament, or have Dave look at it, have the board look at it, I don't know how big it is. So it's just one of those things. We got Cam. What's up, Jay?
Yes. Cam's out. We're about to talk Beatles, Cam.
Yeah, Beatles, buddy. Yeah, I go back and forth depending on the situation. Too cool. Too cool.
He's gonna freak out.
Yeah, I'm really excited about those guns being out again. But yeah, Marson, again, if you could send us a picture of that would be great. What's up, Cam? Real quick.
Did you bring some toys?
Yeah, I brought a toy. Number between 1 and 10. Both you guys get one.
Why do they gotta get a number?
Okay, no. Dude, I can't believe, you guys know I'm a Broncos fan. Should have been 7, but giving out that right there, Rising Sun. And that's 316 Lure Company. Cam, he's buddies with the owner, Mickey. Awesome company. They make a number of really great baits. Let's see. I had to paddle it last weekend. Let's see that. Yeah, and Jimmy, it's one of those things to where maybe write a little story about that, because your PFD is so vital in situations like that. And guys in kayaks, if you're fishing any of the South Park lakes, you need to be aware of the weather at all times.
It comes in so fast.
Yeah,
so fast.
And you can get yourself in a hairy situation. Let's see, you might have to do an outside show so you can't hear the pop guns. Yeah, dude, like I said last time, I thought about buying them all, and then I saw, dude, they're $10 a piece. So I can buy a couple at a time, but I'm not going to get rid. It's a big, it's like a crate, and there's like 1,000 of them. And last show was cool though. We had a little help with hiding them. I didn't think about that this show. But yeah, and we're going to do a number of different shows. The Sam Heckman show that's going to be coming up. I just need to know when Sam's free. We're going to do that actually at Eagle Claw, which is going to be really cool, guys. If you don't go to the Eagle Claw store, the factory store, I can't recommend it enough. It's an awesome, awesome store. You know, any small tackle shops that you guys shop at. You know, obviously I love Cabela's, but some of the smaller shops are still, when they're around, they're still pretty cool.
Yeah, I go to Valley quite a decent amount over on was it Quincy and Parker. It's a good spot. And then of course I love Bennett's.
Yeah,
I haven't been up there for years because I kind of moved south, but Bennett's has always been a real cool place. A lot of cool stuff.
Now it's been a while since I've been up there. I think they had bluegill, bass, and crappie in tanks when I was up there last time. And actually I was fishing. I think I was fishing Boyd and I was fishing for crappie or something like that. I snapped the tip of my ultralight in a car window or something like that. They've got an insane selection of rods, and some of them are a little bit older. But I picked up an Eagle Claw rod. It was like $10, $20. Cam, you better be able to duck, buddy, because I'm telling you, I see an adult with that pop gun. One of these.
I don't know if Cam will have to duck.
Yeah, well, I might. Yeah, let's rephrase that. I'll be the one that has to duck to get a hold of it. But yeah, and it's been a great show, guys. We'll give it a couple more minutes for questions, and then we're gonna lock it down. I'd like to do an end of the season show as well with the kayak stuff, and talk about the tournaments. Hopefully, see some of you guys off to some of the bigger tournaments, get a lot of support, and we'll be.
Something I can't say right
here. You better be scared. This is PG, my friend. I'm gonna have to get. You're making more work for me now. I got to go through and edit it. Let's see. Just hand out harmonicas. But guys, check out Kenny. What's your Instagram? I'll include it on the feed. But what's your Instagram? At Kenny Hood Fishing on Instagram. Do you do Instagram?
I do.
Hit him with your.
It's Duong_Jason Duong.
And guys, I haven't talked about my Instagram. I'm at E.all E23, which why I put the period in there. I don't know. Why did I put 23 in there? I'm a Jordan fan.
Right?
Yeah, I'm a Jordan fan. How does that tie into fishing? I've got no idea. I've got absolutely, because when I first got it,
it's topwater bites. I think you got the ritual right.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoy Instagram, and this is why. For those of you guys that aren't on Instagram, okay, we got 3 minutes left. It's political season, and as much as I really value everybody's take on politics, gun control, gorillas, alligators, and everything like that, I'd rather just look at fish pictures. You know what I mean? Nobody on Facebook, you're not going to change my vote. You're not going to change what I think about alligators or gorillas or anything like that. I get that some people use it for more than just fishing. My social media is fishing. That's it. You know, and Instagram, you don't have to deal with all that stuff.
Right.
You know, you get to see fish pictures. Some of you guys are probably going to get a little sick of the hashtags. I know you said, on your recent one, not a fan of hashtags. But the cool thing about hashtags is, if you guys didn't know it, on Instagram, after you do that post, click on your hashtag, and it'll show all the posts that anybody's used that hashtag. So I've got a couple in regards to ogres, and I'm going to start using pretty frequently here. But again, I want to thank Jason for coming down. When are you leaving for Pueblo?
I'm leaving Friday night. If you're trying to get a hotel in Pueblo, it's very tough right now. It is insane. I found one late last night, but it'll be tough out there. But yeah, I'm going out Friday night. I'll be back Sunday night. It'll be a ton of fun if you guys are around. It's a good time. Even if you're not fishing the tournaments, stop by, because you can see a ton of different rigs. How everybody kind of does. Everybody does a little bit different. You're going to meet some really good people.
And guys, I've been to a number of the events. You've never missed an event, have you?
I missed the Horsetooth one last year.
Okay, but the vibe, we can't say enough about the vibe. Kenny, was this your first year with CKFC? What did you think about the vibe?
Awesome. The camaraderie was just so helpful.
Yeah.
It wasn't like my other past tournaments where everybody's
gunning for each other.
Say the word.
Yeah.
I've seen people handing, lures to each other, a lot of different stuff. So it's a really good group. It is very competitive. I would say the bass side is probably a little bit more competitive than the multi-species side, but a good time on both sides.
And Jimmy, it's Pueblo. It's one of those things to where it's a body of water where 10 minutes can change a tournament either way. So, I wouldn't worry about getting your butt kicked. I think you'll do just fine. Anything else we could say on the live feed? We're going to lose them in about a minute. about CKFC. We've hit Facebook. We've hit what we think is the web address. It's just you guys are going to have fun, and like I said, we're going to include all the native stuff. Everything that we talked about, we're going to include in the show notes. So if anybody has any questions, follow these guys on Instagram. They're going to put great pictures out. If you're interested in a native, make sure you reach out to Jason. Make sure you reach out to Dave Kuzer. And guys, when these guys go to these national level tournaments, let's hype it up. You know what I mean? Let's get a fan base behind you guys, because there's not, in my opinion, there's not enough. And the feed's going, guys. Don't let your meatloaf. There's not enough